Lego man, how can you go out there and make a video inspiring hope to the Canadiens fan base and not talk about the man, the myth, the legend himself, probably the most improved player from prospect to NHL and one of the most impactful players on the team, Montreal Canadiens 2020 15th overall pick Kaiden Guhle? How can you not talk about him, man? And the reason for that is kind of simple. I wanted to make his own isolated video just going over him and his prospect profile, or I guess rookie profile is a better term to use. Because when it comes to Kaiden Guhle, not only has he gone out there and showcased that he is absolutely ready for the NHL, but that he's actually really, really good already too. Let's go over the profile here, what exactly Guhle has done to get up to this point, and what we've been seeing out of him lately for the Montreal Canadiens. So, as we had said, Kaiden Guhle was a 15th overall pick by the Canadiens in the 2020 NHL Entry Draft. He's a 6'2", 205 left-handed defenseman, and he was born in January of 2002, making him 20 years old. Back when he was taken 15th overall, a lot of people kind of said, okay, this is a pretty decent pickup. I mean, he was ranked to go 14th by several scouting outlets. A few others had him lower, though. So when it comes to 15th overall, this is kind of the territory wherein Guhle was projected to going anyway. He was touted in the WHL as a physical, defensively capable defenseman who wasn't going to light the score sheet on fire night in and night out, but who was very good at just making things go right for his hockey team. He would do this with his very good defensive play, his very good defensive positioning, his physicality, his ability to read opposition rushes and cycles and break them up. And while he would have some points, I mean, he had 40 points in 64 games played as a D-man in Prince Albert the year he was drafted, you were going to get your money's worth out of Kaiden Guhle because of everything else he would bring to the table. Give him a little bit more time and eventually have yourselves the season he posted up last year, where, split between the Raiders and the Edmonton Oil Kings, he was a 40-point defenseman in 42 games played, something like that. And he was under a point per game for the Oil Kings as they went far in the playoffs. They went to the Memorial Cup. It was a very nice season for Guhle, all things considered. Guhle was maturing as a guy who could get a little bit more points while also stabilizing his defensive play even further. Obviously, Kaiden Guhle is a big dude playing amongst kids, pretty much, in the WHL, but there still was some very good defensive refinement that had gone on the past few years. This has all boded very well into Guhle's NHL debut, as so far the guy's played 4 games and he's got 2 points. Now, the points are fine. I mean, he's on pace for 41 points in 82 games played, go figure. That's the sample size right there. But when it comes to what Guhle has done that's really put him on the map, it all boils down to the same conversation we had had before. Defense. So far, in games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Red Wings, the Capitals, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, Kaiden Guhle has averaged 20 minutes and 58 seconds of ice time per game. And he's looked very good doing so. Sure, he's a -2, but if you go over what exactly the matchups have looked like for Kaiden Guhle, I think this tweet from Grant McCagg kind of sums it up very nicely here. Imagine starting your NHL career as a rookie defenseman, and in 3 of your first 4 games, being tasked with keeping Matthews, Crosby, and Ovechkin in check, and holding the trio to 1 measly assist while picking up 2 yourself. Welcome to the NHL, Kaiden Guhle. This is another tweet that I thought was interesting regarding that same thing. Martin St. Louis was asked about Kaiden Guhle facing Matthews, Ovi, and Crosby in his first few NHL games. He's risen to the challenge, and there's no better way to start, I guess. Thrown right in the fire, and he's handled it really well. And I expect the same thing tonight. Okay, that was from 2 days ago, so before the Crosby game. He did really well against Crosby, actually, and there are some comments that Guhle made himself about going up against Sid the Kid. Every kid from Canada grew up watching him, how great he is. Greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time, so it's going to be a surreal moment to get to play against him tonight, and it'll be exciting for sure. And man, oh man, I know yesterday we had talked about the Penguins game, and we said, okay, Caulfield, Drouin, Monahan and Doc, these guys are going out there doing good things and they're showcasing hope for the fan base, but when it comes to Kaiden Guhle, Man, you want to talk about inspiring hope? This guy's inspiring hope by going out there and casually poking the puck away from Sidney Crosby and sending the puck the other way. He was so effective on Sid the Kid that it's so mind-boggling to me that a guy who is so young, who is so poised, and who's brand new in the NHL is that gosh darn good. If you just Google search, or not Google search, but Twitter search Crosby Guhle, you'll find so many tweets of people talking about the performance that Guhle had, how Crosby honestly looked so ineffective in the game, to the point that some people were asking, hey, was he even playing? I mean, Guhle was so good at shutting down the best player in the NHL for a good decade and a half. Where exactly is the ceiling here? You also talk about the prior games. Let's go over to the Toronto game. Game 1 against the Maple Leafs, where they ended up choking and the Canadiens won with a few seconds left to go in regulation. Kaiden Guhle tasked up with Auston Matthews, and Matthews goes out there and he's not able to score himself a goal, as he very much is usually capable of, because Auston Matthews is a goal-scoring machine. Kaiden Guhle, his first NHL game, he's tasked with going up against the great Papi from Arizona, and it works. Then, of course, Ovechkin in the Washington game. Ovi took a while to get onto the score sheet in this NHL season. It took him until the Vancouver game a few days ago to actually get multiple goals, because he got 2 in that game. He almost got 3 because the Canucks ended up pulling their goalie and having the net empty. But either way, this trio of Matthews, Ovi, and Crosby all getting the Kaiden Guhle treatment is so impressive. And when it comes to the future, how good this guy can be later on, dare I say that Shea Weber might even have been just a bit underselling of what Guhle's real potential could be. We know that when the Canadiens went to the finals, you had Sherratt, you had Weber, you had Edmondson, all these big physical guys that could body you around and actually play the right way in their own zone. Sure, some are a lot more physical than others, but when it came to guys like Weber, you didn't need him to be super fast. You didn't need him to be the absolute Connor McDavid just charging down the ice kind of guy. He just needed to be in the right position, put his stick in the right place, and break up plays in order to facilitate the puck forward. Kaiden Guhle is kind of doing that already against some of the best players in the entire world, and he's only 20 years old. You talk about Shea Weber being what he is, I mean, this is kind of the impact that other #1 defensemen on other NHL teams seem to have for their clubs. I saw a comment on the Canadian subreddit talking about the impact of Kaiden Guhle being akin to one of Victor Hedman. Not saying that Guhle is a Norris caliber 80-point defenseman like Hedman is, but just having a guy that can be solid enough for you to be confident to say, okay, I'm going to throw you out there, you're going to be penalty killing against Matthews, against Marner, against whoever. You're going to be there and you're going to be all right because we trust you and we know you're capable enough to handle it. That's the type of confidence that a guy like Kaiden Guhle instills for the rest of the D-Corps. And when it comes to all these other guys growing and developing into what they could be, you talk about Arber Xhekaj being the physical guy. He could be like a Ben Sherratt, Weber, Guhle, there's a little bit of a similarity there. You still have Joel Edmondson, actually, so just kind of got to wait until he comes back. This Montreal Canadiens blue line is pretty good, especially when you take a look at the younger players that are going to develop and prosper into much more exemplified talents as their careers go on. It makes the departure of Alexander Romanov that much more stomachable. And as we had talked about in the Romanov video, going over his update with the Islanders, with all the good defensemen the Canadiens had in their system, they were in a position to value Doc more and just say, okay, Romanov is good and we like him a lot, but we kind of need a center, and Doc is a good one, so let's trade away Romanov. We still have Guhle, we still have Xhekaj, we still have other defensemen coming up in the system like, dare I say, Logan Mailloux, but still, that's a conversation for another day. But either way, talk to the comments your thoughts about Ovechkin, Matthews, Crosby, all these guys getting shut down by Kaiden Guhle at the start of the 22-23 season and at the start of Guhle's NHL career. It's been a very good few games here for the young Hab, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where things go from here. Talk to the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.